Welcome to Believe It or Not, an Interfaith Grand River program. I'm your host, August Edelman, and I'm joined today by Esfandiar Sabet Sarvestany, who is a member of the Baha'i community. Thanks so much for being on the show.
You're most welcome.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you out in the world?
As you mentioned, my name is Esfandiar. I'm originally from Iran. I came to Canada with my family about 24 years ago. And as a refugee, religious refugee, and we established in Kitchener, city of Kitchener from day one. I learned English as soon as I arrived in Canada. I started learning and still I'm learning. And my children grew up in Canada. They don't remember anything out of Canada. I'm a driver, contract driver for many different careers. But I had many different jobs. I worked in the franchisees and corporation and government offices, and I had a construction business. But currently, I am
Nice.
driver.
A jack of many trades.
Yes.
So were you raised in the Baha'i faith?
Yes. I'm a seventh generation Baha'i.
Wow.
From as soon as the religion starts in this faith starts in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
My ancestors were part of it, and I am seventh generation Baha'i.
Wow. So I've mostly spoken on the show. We've had two other Baha'i folks on. I think you know them both, John and Judith.
Mr. John.
Yeah.
Yes.
And but they were both converts as adults. Tell me a bit about being a child in the Baha'i faith. Like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I grew up in the Baha'i family, and my parents practice Baha'i faith. I can say with very strict and insisting of having that principle at home, mainly because of they receive as from their parents. Also, the condition of Iran.
Yeah.
You have to have a strong character if you are part of any minority, regardless of. As you may know, Baha'is are in more intense persecution and oppression by the government. But it was kind of empowering from day one to how to be strong, how to be steadfast, and how to stand your ground for what you believe.
Yeah.
First day I went to the school, and age 7, the differences was recognized by teachers, and it was a cause of some difficulty. But I can say my skin become tougher and tougher.
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe not a fair question of me to ask that, even because, when we're kids, we only know what we know, our world is the world, and that's what we know. So, and then it's when we start to encounter people with biases and stuff that we start to recognize those things.
When you receive some opposition and particularly when you are in the younger age, you start thinking, why this happening? And when you see the sign of even some non-Baha'is, let's say majority in Iran were Muslim, and in privately and says just continue the way you are doing, it's approval of you are doing something right.
Yeah.
Because it's as dear John and Judith explained previously, it's a unity of mankind is a main purpose, and we have a lot of principle and instrument to reach that point, and we as a Baha'i try to practice it in our best ability.
Okay. That's a perfect transition to what I was going to ask next, which is there sort of a part of your tradition or part of your practice that sort of is particularly close to you? Like, obviously all of it's important, but parts that are sort of particularly resonant with you?
When I mention about unity of mankind, we have to live as a Baha'i just by saying that or because I inherited from my parents, it doesn't mean I'm a Baha'i. I have to practice it.
Right.
And when you practice it, it's become your second nature and become your character. When you are under the pressure from outside, the first practice is, okay, there is a reason. I don't see them as an enemy. I see them as a group. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they need more education. Maybe they kept in dark about this religion or what I practice or what I believe. As a result, I have to be very patient. And being patient, which is one of the principles for reaching your goal, which is personally and by practicing as a Baha'i faith, is to reach the unity of mankind. It's not a formula. You have to apply it to your day-to-day life.
Yeah. And I'm sure times are easier than others.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I arrive in Canada, I find it very useful because, as you know, it's a very diverse country. I mean, by ethnicity and very multicultural. And I had a strong background to be connected to anybody. I remember even in this very church, we came as an adult learning English as a tour.
Okay.
23 years ago. And we visit different churches and different adult schools happening on the churches. And there was all refugees across the world gathered together. And you could see the small sample of what we try to achieve.
Yeah.
And it's happening here. It was very wonderful.
Wow, that's really cool. So tell me about a time maybe when your faith has been a comfort to you, or maybe it's been a challenge for you.
As I mentioned, we have to live the life as a Baha'i. I'm referring to Iran, and I have a lot of stories to share. I expelled from school due to what I believe as a Baha'i in age of 16. And not long after that, I exiled / mandatory army service to the east part of Iran. And the system of what government practiced on the time was not just executing you, but to torture you to not practice your religion, mentally, other than the harsh physical condition. And let's say they try to make the government try to create dichotomy between the different groups in that exile area. But my belief was I have to create a unity. And they try to push me away from what I try to practice. That was a challenge.
Yeah.
The physical condition they bringing, having 1 meal a day or 1 eggs a day per an individual, and sometimes they make it half, and as a result the condition get harsher. But to practice, everyone have a, let's say, proper meal a day. It was a very challenging to such a condition. Or when they force me to, as you may know, Baha'is are not involving in the war and not taking not using the weapon, or forbidden to killing anybody or engage in violence.
Right.
And they forced me to go to a front line. And they says these are enemy, but I knew these people are not enemy. They are looking for their rights or taking prisoner to the execution when there was not a fair trial.
Right.
This was challenges. This kind of challenges I had to how to avoid that.
Yeah.
Or how to reasoning with those who are forcing me, which is most of the time was not working.
Yeah.
Those kind of challenges I was involved a lot. But other than that, it's always for me is like a straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm so sorry that you endured that. I can't even imagine. It's terrible.
But I think it's a part of the character building.
Mm.
When you claim for something higher, you have to practice for it.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to the gym and try to build the muscles, you practice 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
But for your soul, you need to, I think it's much harder than the building the muscles.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
To swim opposite of the stream of the society or what the majority believe it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a disastrous for humanity, but you have to practice it. There was a refugee camp in east of Iran on the time. There was, as you may know, Russia, Afghanistan on the time still ongoing situation, and 100,000s of the refugees coming, and they kept under very harsh condition. However, the current government on the time receiving money from United Nations, but is not sharing with the refugee. And we were about 7 people. Each one have different belief, and as a result, they were exiled in that region. We had a Christian, we had a Jewish, we have someone practice Zen,
Mm-hmm.
Eastern, and the other groups were political parties, let's say, and myself. And we knew the condition. We reported to the authority the condition is not proper for these refugees. A piece of the bread they sell $1 a day. I'm talking about 37 years ago.
Oh my gosh!
Which it cost 1 cent for the government on the time. And this is what is happening is right, and there is no objection with anybody. After a while, about 10 days, the group of refugees come to the office to object, and they ask us to use our guns or machine guns to scare them. And the group of the refugees rejected to go away, and there was clashes between some of the officers, and our group refused to fire. And as a result, we had a 28 days imprisonment.
Oh my gosh.
And it was I said it's a challenge, but I was happy in the end. I stand my ground, or our group.
Yeah.
We cannot use violence for somebody asking for their rights.
Yeah.
That's a simple example of one of those challenges.
That's extraordinary. Yeah.
Unfortunately, maybe these things happening on daily basis, but I think if everyone in those situations, those who have power or authority, think a bit and analyze it, what is the result of this action could be for the humanity, for betterment of humanity, that will change.
Yeah.
If even changes happening by each individual is not happening in the decision making in the office or somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much a thing, every day we're making choices and we're doing our faith, we're doing our practice.
Yeah. In Iran, generally, you have to move from different cities, mainly all Baha'is, not just me.
Mm.
But due to not having a secure life or safe society to live, and interestingly, many Muslim and many Jewish cover us to be safe for some period of the time. I remember in the south of Iran, in one city, a Jewish family hid 40 Baha'is.
Oh my goodness.
For 2 weeks.
Wow.
And in another city, there was several, in 4 neighbor Muslims, blocked the road to not allow the mobs attack the Baha'is.
Wow.
It's I think if the force of the political forces removed from the society, people with the different faith know how to live with each other easily.
Yeah.
And it's more peaceful than any other way dictated to the society.
Yeah. So you sort of mentioned this community, your community of Baha'is having to kind of move. Can you tell me a bit about that community? I mean, both the one you have here now and also in Iran?
Here, in particular, in the Waterloo region or in Canada, it's very diverse. However, majority of the Baha'is are, let's say, North American.
Mm-hmm.
But in this region, majority are the refugee Baha'is come from Iran or Arabic countries or even African countries. Due to the nature of this region, because many of the services for refugees were available on the time when they arrived. And we have a lot of activity which is open to public. It's not just for the Baha'i community. One of the major activities is a junior youth empowerment program.
Mm.
And I can say it started exactly in the Waterloo region from 2006.
Okay.
And now is developing very fast. It's crystallizing and is engaged many different community regardless of their religious background or any background they have, and it serves the community in many levels. First, the relation between their families, teenagers and their families, and then they can excel at the school level and to create the situation or create the environment for them to think critically.
Mm-hmm.
Do not wait for someone to come and help from, let's say, from government, or use your own resources, how you can sharpen your skills, and in many levels it's expand their capacity. As in the one of the verses of Baha'i faith, I might quote, I'm not just re-quoted maybe. Human is full of gems, and by education and empowering, these gems coming out as a different capacity, and each individual can change the world because each individual have a special capacity, and the job of humanity is to prepare the situation for those individuals to expand their abilities for helping the humanity. In Iran, mainly due to the situation, it was more internal because the community was under attack. They couldn't have any governing body, and all the governing body. I think dear Judith explained about how we have an assembly and it's an elected body. Mm-hmm. All of them mainly executed the national level, and the local level bans by government. And as a result, the community has taken care of its own affairs, also protecting the community. And many of children couldn't go to school. Yeah. And let's say older children have to teach the younger one. Like we have a kind of underground school for our community. And even now it's developed like an underground university we have. And because Baha'i community of Iran, they cannot go to the higher education. Right. And they try their best to have an education system. You know, when you want to destroy a community, you have to destroy it culturally. Yeah. And as a result, when you cut the education, it's underdeveloped. Mm-hmm. And from day one, as a community, our goal was to have education for children, junior youth, and even the adults. Like it's always there is education system in place, and serving the whole community, regardless of. It's not just the Baha'i community. Anytime the government were not sneaking in or a bit, they were busy with something else, the Baha'i community expand their service to the general community. There is many neighborhood they didn't have schools, or children cannot go to school. With the system we learn, try to help the general public to educate their children, by their parents, by their older brother, sister, or their neighborhood kids. Yeah. Be resourceful with themselves.
I mean, it's extraordinarily resilient what you're describing, and yet, so unfortunate that it has to happen at all like that.
Yes, there is a documentary, the constructive resilience, mm-hmm. and it's used the method of the Baha'i community of Iran, how they dealt with the oppression, and to just increase their energy and expand their horizon, and do not use that oppression and change the energy, negative energy, to positive, and expand the community in many levels instead of fighting back. Right. Because we cannot fight back. That's a direct order of Baha'u'llah. We cannot take a weapon or fight or take a revenge. Mm-hmm. Even when many families lost their loved ones by execution, they pray for those executed. As we pray for your soul to live a peaceful life. Yeah. And as a result, with that practice, we achieve a lot. And community of Iran right now does not have a governing body, but they're running their own affairs, and that's amazing. Because usually any community looking for the leadership. Yeah. But the potential of each individual by consultation resulted in that achievement. Mm-hmm. And I think it's can be done with any groups, as far as the unity is in the mind, and it's a integral part of the thought of any community that can be achieved. Mm-hmm. Many groups or community things, we have to have a peace first, then become united. But it's opposite. Okay. We have to have a unity to can achieve the peace. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, your story is extraordinary, and I cannot thank you enough for sharing it with us. Certainly, I still always feel every time I have a conversation with someone that I am just sort of just getting the very basics of even what a tradition is about. Let alone what a tradition is like in another country where there's oppression and all sorts of discrimination. I guess my final question for you is there something that you want to share that you haven't shared yet? There's some idea that you want to share with the folks at home, or that's sort of close to your heart that is important to you?
First, I like to appreciate your efforts for this interfaith group, and I think this idea can be happen anywhere.
Yeah.
And the only solution for peace or unity is each individual in any level. Let's say we are in any neighborhood, we can build up the paradise for ourselves. Which starts step by step. And we have to look at each other as a part of the puzzle. Some people in the beginning, let's say 100 years ago, 200 years ago, we believe like a founder of the Baha'i faith created a structure of that puzzle, and slowly other people filling it out, slowly. And all humanity has a role in this puzzle. And when we work on it more and more, it's easier for the future generation. It cannot build in one night. It might not happen in our lifetime, but it's a legacy. You have to work on it. As far as we work and helping to advance, that's more than enough in our best of our ability. And it has to be in the main day-to-day idea of our life. It's not just an afterthought. Maybe if I have a time on the weekend or like say 10 hours on the whole year I have to do volunteer job. It has to be embedded like in our every moment of our life, how we can create this better world.
Yeah.
That's it.
Beautifully put. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on Believe It or Not. We'll see you next time.